Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr.Lamba's Awakening Call. Well, today is Diwali, a festival celebrated by more than 1.5 billion people in the world. And while it's customary to wish a happy Diwali, it would be wrong to say that this is a religious festival alone. It's much more than that. Nor is this festival as commonly presumed a Hindu festival. Yes, the majority of Hindus, almost 100% of the Hindus, celebrate it, but so do other religions. And that fact is mostly not known. As a matter of fact, it's one of the, after Christmas, is the most Catholic festival, most Catholic, universally celebrated, because this is a combination of various things. It's a cultural event, it's a religious event, it's a harvest event, and it is significant because it represents regeneration of life. It represents the defeat of the forces of darkness at the hand of the righteousness. And as I said, it's celebrated by the people practically all over the globe. Now, because the Indians have settled there, but even otherwise, this festival spread over 5 days, and the last day is the main day, which is the day of Lakshmi Puja. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. And are you aware that's an official holiday in many countries? Fiji, Guyana, Malaysia, except Sarawak province in Malaysia, Mauritius, Myanmar, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Suriname, Trinidad, Tobago. So a festival which is officially a holiday in so many countries cannot be deemed to be confined to one religion, one sect, one group of people. And the word, if we go etymologically, Deepavali means the row of lights. As I said earlier, it's a festival of lights, usually lasting 5 days. And it symbolizes the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and most important, of knowledge over ignorance. And it's not associated only with the return of Rama from Ayodhya, from Sri Lanka after defeating Ravana. It's associated with Lakshmi, goddess of prosperity. It's associated with Vishnu, Krishna, Yam, Durga, Kali, Hanuman, Ganesh, Kuber, Dhanvantri, Vishwakarma. Name the Hindu god, and it has some association with that. Of course, the main one has been Ramayanas, where Rama defeated Ravana and came back after 14 years of exile. And as I said, this is a day after celebration of wealth, after the celebration of Kali Puja, Govardhan Puja, name it, and they are there. This festival comes, and the next day is called Vishwakarma Day, the worship of the implements. So look at it. It's no longer religious. It is basically very, very pertinent to life, livelihood. People work, the artisans work with the implements and they worship it. And they perform the maintenance in their workspaces and offer prayers. This festival, as I said, assumes a sociological aspect apart from a religious aspect. And then other religions celebrate it. Jains observe their own Diwali, which marks the final liberation of Mahavira. So Jain is a separate religion, though of course it's an offshoot of Hinduism, but it has also Diwali. And then it's a liberation of Mahavira. Sikhs celebrate it. Popularly conceived that Guru Hargobind came from the prison, which is wrong. But there are other reasons which I'll come to. Navar Buddhists, the Navar sect, celebrate by worshipping Lakshmi, and Hindus from East India, Bengal, celebrate worshipping goddess Kali. So this is essentially a fusion of the harvest festival in ancient India. Most of the people are not aware that in Padma Puran and in Shanda Puran, two Sanskrit texts, much before the civilization was recorded, 1 million CE before Christ, these books were completed. And they mentioned Diwali. The diya, the lamps mentioned in Skanda Kishore Purana symbolize parts of sun, describing it as a cosmic giver of life and energy to all, which is seasonally transitions in the Hindu calendar year of October, November, Kartik, they call it. So the Puranas, which are the hoary old books, have mentioned it. And as I said, it was 1 millennium before Christ. That's 1,000 years before Christ. Padma Purana and Skanda Purana both mention it. Then King Harsh refers to Diwali in the 17th century Sanskrit play, the Ganda, and the lamps are lit, and the newly engaged bride and grooms receive gifts. In the 19th century, Radriksha referred to Deepavali as Deep Malika. And then it's not only the Indian writers, but in the 11th century, Persian writer Al-Biruni praises this festival celebration as a celebration of life, a celebration of enlightenment. As a matter of fact, according to Al-Biruni, Deepavali is a process of renaissance, learning, waking up. There was a Venetian merchant and traveler, Nicola Conti, who visited India and wrote in his memoir that this is a day when the joy, the exuberance overtakes all despondency, all sadness, and one feels really light. Then, a Portuguese traveler came at the same time, and he mentions in Domingo Pace that Deepavali was celebrated when the people, you couldn't differentiate the difference between a palace and a hut because both were equally illuminated. And then, as I said earlier, other religions have also participated. Akbar, the Mughal emperor, welcomed the advent of Diwali and he celebrated Diwali. But however, Aurangzeb banned it. But Akbar, and since Aurangzeb banned it, that means Jahangir and Shah Jahan also celebrated Diwali. Then the British colonial era, Sir William Jones, a philologist, he was a great votary of celebrating Diwali because he said that this shows a deep innate sense of optimism that ultimately it will be the victory of righteousness. And then, he brought out some interesting things. He said that Deepotsva, or Deepavali, or Diwali, or whatever, he brought out a 10th century Rashtrakuta Empire copper plate And the inscription on that copper plate is Krishna 3, and it mentions Dipatswa. At that time, it was not Diwali, but called Dipatswa. So the transition from Dipatswa to Dipavali to Diwali is etymological, but culturally, this festival has been celebrated in different forms. The celebration of light. A German Indologist, Lawrence Kilhorn, he says that in the verse 6 and 7, the Rangana temple Sanskrit inscription, in about the carol king Raja Varma, it's mentioned that this is auspicious which disperses darkness not only of the outside but of the inner mind. What I referred earlier to, the transition from ignorance to knowledge. Similarly, King Ila, Kartavya, Sagra, and Sakra. Sakra is the god Indra, the of God, and the universal monarch who knows the duties of the three Vedas. As a matter of fact, he says that the celebration starts with Vishnu, with Lakshmi sitting on his lap. So look at the hoary past. Is similarly Jain inscriptions mention about this very well. And Hinduism, of course, as I said, whether it's Lakshmi or whether it's Kali or whatever it is, all celebrated. Now, according to Sikhs, they celebrated as they call it Bandi Chhor Divas. Wrongly saying that Guru Hargobind reached Golden Temple, he was released on this day by Jahangir. If it is Tujke Jahangiri, he mentioned very clearly that Hargobind was released at the time of spring. The spring is in March. So March to November doesn't take that long a time. However, they ignored two factors. That Diwali is a Sikh tradition much older than 6th Guru Hargobind Singh legend. I call it a legend. And in reality, Guru Amar Das, the third Guru of Sikhs, built a well in Goindwal with 84 steps and invited Sikhs to bathe in the sacred water on Diwali as a form of community bonding, basically. So 84 steps signify 84 species. They say human beings have 84 lives. So each life you spend. So Diwali was a time when you could pray on each step 84 times and get salvation. And according to Ray College, Diwali highlights three major events in Sikh history, which again no Sikh talks about, possibly they are not aware. This was the day when the city of Amritsar was founding, the foundation stone was laid in 1577. So Amritsar, which is the Mecca of Sikhs, or the Vatican of Sikhs, the holiest of shrine. This was the founding day of Amritsar. Of course, Guru Hargobind's legend is there. And then, in 1738, Bhai Mani Singh was killed by the Mughals because he did not pay a fine to celebrate Diwali and he did not convert to Islam. So these are the three events, and the fine beginning of the celebration was done by Guru Amar Das. But later on, the legend came about Hargobind, and the legend, as a matter of fact, covered the reality. So Buddhists normally don't celebrate it, but the sect of Newar people in Nepal, they celebrate this. They revere the deities of Nirvana and offer prayers to Lakshmi. Then agriculture aspect, because this is basically a harvest festival, and Hindus celebrate as Anakut, the mountain of food, and the day is dedicated to Krishna. In Gujarat, Anakut is the third day of the new year and celebrated through the purchase of essential goods like salt, offering prayers to Krishna and others. Then, as I said, the fourth is the Vishwakarma day, when people worship their implements. And it's basically Vishwakarma was the Hindu deity of architecture, building, and manufacturing, textiles, craft. So all crafts people play this day. Economically, this after Christmas, Diwali is one of the most important days as far as the economy is concerned. Are you aware, for example, in 2017, $4.2 billion worth of transactions took place only for Diwali. This year, there might be less or maybe more, but 4.2 billion in 2017, then 5 billion in 2018. With that sort of economic turnover, this festival no longer is to be seen as a pure religious festival. As I said, this socio cultural, agricultural, economic, and religious is basically a renaissance, a celebration of life, a celebration of intelligence, a celebration of knowledge, and a celebration of life itself. Can a day be more sacrosanct than this day? I don't think so. So, wish you a very, very happy Diwali. And you would believe it's not a Hindu religious celebration alone. It's a Catholic celebration, widespread, covering all the human beings. Because the end is there. The end is enlightenment and light over darkness. And of course, economy. Thank you.